Good evening, everybody. It is your favorite aspiring revolutionary here, a wandering author, here to remind you that we are all the authors of our own lives. As always, my message remains the same. Spend less, live more, earn your freedom with frugality. In Book 5 of Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics, Chapter 4, he begins by saying, "This justice is different," referring to corrective justice, "from the preceding justice, for justice in distributing common property always conforms with the proportion we have described, since when a distribution is made from the common stock, it will follow the same ratio as that between the amounts which the several persons have contributed to the common stock." And again, what we're getting at here is corrective justice is literally what happens when somebody breaks the law. And for Aristotle, what this meant was he was going to repair private transactions. In Book 5, Chapter 4, Section 3, he says further, "But the just," meaning what's good, in private transactions is not the equal according to geometrical, but arithmetical proportion. Again, he's using some pretty fancy terms. But what this really gets at is my favorite quote from this chapter. And this whole chapter, he is, again, further defining it. Like, the first half of Book 5 is just definitions. But, "For it makes no difference whether a good man has defrauded a bad man, or a bad one a good one. The law only looks at the nature of the damage." Pretty straightforward, and that's true. I mean, and again, we all know that's not right. The law looks at who has the most money and gives them the most lenient punishments, and if you're poor, it just shoves a rod right up your ass. And that's the legal system. But for Aristotle, he lived in Plato's world of forms, which is why he derided it so much. He wanted to get back to the real world. Anyways, for Aristotle, a judge's role was to equalize the damage inflicted by a crime, injury, or injustice. Hence, the unjust being here the unequal, the judge endeavors to equalize it. Wouldn't that be wonderful? And that is a good way to describe what a judge's ideal role should be. To go to a judge, in a sense, is to go to justice. For the ideal judge is, so to speak, justice personified. But what an ideal judge really is the man that you pay to do things that are illegal. Hence, the unjust being... When men seek judicial recourse, the judge acts as a medium or mediator for the supposed conflict, restoring equality. And he goes on further, "If we represent the matter by a line divided into two unequal parts, he takes away part from the greater segment, that portion by which it exceeds 1/2 of the whole line." Hashtag precise. And everybody that has known me for more than a few seconds knows that I'm just an absolute sucker for etymology. But right here, this indeed is the origin of the word dikaion, which means the just, good. And it means daika, So the word just originally comes from the root word daika, which means in half. And a dicast, a judge, is somebody who takes things in half, is a dicast, a haver. And that's why justice and equality, the dividing of value between people and doing it in a way that's ethically and morally upright, upstanding, and empowering, was such an important concept for Aristotle, and why he spent such a long time talking about it. And I gotta say, I think he was onto something. Aristotle literally felt that ideal justice was mathematically based, meaning we should represent signs by algebraic equations. Quoting him further, "This process then will enable us to ascertain what we ought to take away from the party that has too much, and what to add to the one that has too little. So he's saying when a crime is committed, in an ideal world, we should literally have mathematical equations that tell us just how much damage was done to the party, the aggrieved, or the damaged party, and how much does the perpetrator or the perp have to pay to repair the damages he committed. And finally, hence justice in involuntary transactions is a mean between gain and loss in a sense. It is to have after the transaction an amount equal to the amount one had before it. And so what he's saying is that in an ideal world, involuntary transactions, remember, are things like basically crimes, theft. Justice's role in these cases is to basically render the situation as if the crime never happened in the first place, which is pretty straightforward, so we're not breaking much ground here, but I do think this makes for a decent quote, right? Anyways, in my personal and professional life, I've been having some of the most fun I've had in literally since I was working for a $1 billion company in my first, I was telling my friend, I'm going to keep things vague enough so that only people who already know what I'm talking about will know, but I was telling my friend that it feels like I am an MLB player that just stepped onto a minor league team. Everybody is really cool, but like I just have played this sport with people that operate at a different level, and I feel useful again, and it's really fucking great. Anyways, this is a wandering author here to remind you that we are all the authors of our own lives. As always, my message remains the same: spend less, live more, earn your freedom with frugality. What are you guys doing in order to inspire, uplift, and empower your local community today? Because this world isn't changing unless we all do our part, and you can count on me to do mine daily. Until next time, I love y'all. Good night.